From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
My name's Fred Bowen, and I do a bunch of different things. I'm one of the authors this year at the National Book Festival. I write kids' books. I write sports books for kids 8 to 12 years old. And I also write a weekly column for the Kids Post section of the Washington Post. And so it's maybe appropriate that I'm here at this gathering of the DC Public Schools to recognize excellent reading teachers. Because if there weren't any reading teachers, there wouldn't be readers, and there wouldn't be people reading my books and my columns. So all the reading teachers out there and anybody who is helping kids read are not only helping me, of course, but helping everybody in our whole country. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica Swanson, who's in the DC Public School Office for Teaching and Learning, and to get this underway. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Well, like he said, my name is Jessica Swanson, and I'm the manager of Teaching and Learning Strategies with the Teaching and Learning team. And I'm really excited today to introduce you to our Chief of Teaching and Learning, Brian Pick. As the Chief of Teaching and Learning, Brian is a member of the Chancellor's management team, and he leads the district's academic work. His current efforts focus on ensuring that all students have access to high-quality curriculum, engaging instruction, and aligned formative assessments. Over the past 5 years, Brian has led the development and rollout of the DCPS Teaching and Learning Framework, served as the chairperson of the Standards, Assessments, Data, and Accountability Working Group for DC's successful Race to the Top application, and led the development, coordination, and implementation of the district's academic strategies. Please join me in welcoming our Chief of Teaching and Learning.
Thank you, Jessica. Welcome and good afternoon. A beautiful afternoon here on the Mall. I'd like to begin by thanking the Library of Congress, David Rubenstein, and all the sponsors of today's event for the time today to share what we're doing at DC Public Schools and to recognize many of our outstanding teachers. One of my favorite quotes right now, as the school year is off to a start, has been a quote from Victor Hugo. No, it's not one more day or I dreamed a dream. It is, to learn to read is to light a fire. Every syllable sounded out is a spark. And I love that quote because for me, it captures both the learning to read process of sounding out syllables and having that joy of learning to read, but also that moment of loving reading and how it can expose you to the world, great characters, narratives, and stories. Everybody has that story in their head that is poignant to them. It might have been when that tear rolled down your face reading Watership Down. Who knew that rabbits could get you so much? Or perhaps it was, turning the pages of Pillars of the Earth, a large, large book, but you couldn't wait to get to the end. And lighting a fire is really what we're trying to do in our classrooms across this city in DC. Whether it's in kindergarten with the Magic Treehouse series, or reading Esperanza Rising for the first time in elementary school, or perhaps reading The Book Thief in our middle school, or maybe in our high schools as students are reading through Middlesex. These are all pieces of literature that are speaking to the core of humanity and lessons for all of us. We've made significant investments here in DC in books, classroom libraries, school libraries, and books for kids to take home. We're investing in e-readers and loading them with high-quality literature. We have 4th and 5th graders that read every night on their e-reader. But remember that the book is just the start. The book really comes alive when our educators, our passionate and knowledgeable educators, are able to make connections, whether it's a connection to Corduroy or Madeline, Huck Finn or Hamlet, or Jonas in The Giver. It's the connection that brings to life these characters for students in our classroom. And today I'm very excited because we celebrate some of our very finest, most talented reading teachers. These are teachers that are experts in their field. They're talented at both the art and the science of reading, and they truly are lighting a fire for reading across this city. I'd like to turn it back over to Jessica, who will introduce Corey Colgan.
Thank you, Brian. We're going to welcome Corey Colgan, who's the Deputy Chief for Literacy and Humanities. Corey has more than 15 years of experience at the school and district level, and she has extensive knowledge of the practice of and designing literacy curriculum and professional development at elementary and secondary levels. In the past 2 years, she has spearheaded the implementation of the Common Core state standards for English language arts, including the development of the English language arts scope and sequence, unit overviews, and close reading modules. Additionally, Corey and her team have developed and delivered hours of professional development on the Common Core instructional shifts and literacy best practices. Corey is going to introduce our first awards.
Thank you, Jessica. As Brian mentioned, the Office of Teaching and Learning is committed to bringing excellent, rich, engaging texts into our curriculum. And this year, and in the coming years, we have a major district initiative focusing on literacy and improving the quality of the literacy instruction in our schools. Because of this, we really wanted to take time to recognize today some of our talented teachers who are really at the forefront of this work and helping us lead this work across the district. So our first group of honorees is the Common Core Reading Corps. The Common Core Reading Corps is a group of talented teachers who are helping lead our implementation of the Common Core state standards. They're doing this primarily by helping us create really engaging, meaningful, and challenging curriculum for our students, and by helping us to understand what really works and doesn't work on the ground, and to develop and lead professional development for our teachers. This summer, these teachers took time from their well-earned summer vacation to spend 5 weeks, day in and day out, sitting at computers and talking together, reading texts and developing curriculum that would be in the hands of our teachers this fall. So they're always our great resource, our go-to folks to know where we should go next in terms of improving literacy and helping teachers and students to understand the Common Core standards. So if I could have the Common Core Reading Corps teachers just come up over in this area, and we're going to call you up one at a time to receive a little token of our deep, deep gratitude and appreciation. So these teachers were selected from schools across the district and represent all different grade levels, K through 12. And I'm going to just call up those of them that were able to be here with us today to receive their awards. Ashley Bessix, who's actually not with us. Jade Brawley. Charlotte Conley. Dwight Davis. Sarah Hawley. Alicia Hunter. Okay, I don't think Alicia's here. Kimyana Johnson. Kristen Coelho, are you here? Not here, okay. Kristen Addison, not here. Josie Malone. Susie Shantz. someone else? Claire? Nobody? Come on up. Liz Collins. All right. Thank you all very much for all of your hard work and for coming today. Thank you. Okay, our next set of honorees is made up of reading teachers who work day in and day out with students who are the farthest behind in reading. First, we will honor the reading teachers who teach a program called Read 180. This is a program that's in place in many of our middle and high schools. It's a highly researched program that helps students who are far behind to grow in their reading skills and to fill that gap and become readers on grade level. The program also addresses students' attitudes about reading, such that many of our students who go through the program do a 180 and start to see themselves as readers and people who love reading. This can only happen, of course, if they have an excellent teacher to act as a guide and to show them the way. So the first honorees in the Read 180 area are actually a pair. They work as co-teachers. And I'm going to say a few words about both of them and then have them come up. So these two teachers teach at Brightwood Education Campus. They co-teach in a classroom where they have many English language learners. On a reading assessment that the district uses to measure reading proficiency, these students averaged a 222 Lexile point growth, which if you don't know what that means, basically they tripled the expected performance of students in this program. Due to their outstanding work in connecting with their students, understanding each individual student's needs, John, Mark, and Alex, who you'll meet in a moment, their classroom has been designated as a Read 180 model classroom for the district, which means they have the additional responsibility of welcoming additional educators who are trying to learn the program, principals, and outside guests into their classroom for other people to see exactly how it can be done. They're always willing to provide colleagues with best practices and strategies that have worked in their classroom, and they do this both informally and formally in trainings as well. So their contributions in reading also helped Brightwood Education Campus to achieve a 9% increase in reading proficiency as measured by the DC CAS this past year. So I'd like to welcome up John Mark Anderson and Alex Iram up to the stage. And thank you both for being models of collaboration and excellent reading teaching. Okay, our next honoree in the Read 180 area is a teacher at previously a teacher at McFarland Middle School and has now moved to Brown Education Campus. This teacher also achieved remarkable growth with his students this past year. On the reading assessment, the SRI, which measures students' reading achievement with something called Lexiles, his students experienced an average of 183 Lexile gains, and almost 80% of his students exceeded their expected performance. To reach such great results, this teacher spent a lot of time and effort investing in students and families. During each window, he talks to students and families about where they currently perform. He helps them set goals for progress and engages the families in the goal-setting process. He explains to them exactly what they need to do to move up to the next level. He also worked very closely with the principal and other school administrators to regularly communicate with families and the broader community to understand what the students needed to do, what they were capable of, and to help them reach their goals. His work contributed to McFarland Middle School improving a remarkable 20% in reading proficiency as measured by the DC CAS. And this educator who we're so lucky to have in the district with us is Dr. Derek Hull. Okay, and the last teacher that we would like to recognize for their work in Read 180, teachers at Oyster Adams. This is a very diverse school community, also that has many English language learners and actually takes a bilingual education approach to educating our young people. In her classroom, her students made almost 300 Lexile points on average, which is also more than double the expected growth for each student. And 78% of her students more than exceeded the expected performance growth. So this means 3 and 4 years of reading growth in 1 year, in one classroom, almost 80% of students reaching that goal, which is really incredible. A couple of years back, this teacher also worked with a young reader who made such incredible gains and became so invested in his reading and in his education that he actually won a national award for improving in their reading performance from the Scholastic Education Group. So I would like to recognize Ms. Alexandria Lemus. So just one final round of applause for all of our Read 180 teachers who take on some of the most challenging students that we have in our school group and really help them become excited and confident about reading.
I'd now like to introduce Nancy Abu-Samra, who oversees reading interventions for DC Public Schools. Nancy has been with DC Public Schools for 5 years, and prior to that, she taught for 8 years. She's going to present the next honorees who are also reading teachers.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor for me to be up here recognizing these educators for whom I have such tremendous respect. We're going to begin by honoring a teacher for her work with students using the Wilson Reading System. Wilson Reading System is a highly structured remedial program that directly teaches the structure of the English language to students who've been unable to learn with other teaching strategies and require multisensory language instruction. Lauren Castillo is a highly skilled special education teacher who has recently become the instructional coach for Truesdale Education Campus. She's taught Wilson Reading for 4 years now and has had incredibly impressive results. A few examples. I'm going to just give you a few examples. Ms. Castillo has had multiple students make more than 2.5 years of growth in a single year of instruction. Of particular note is the group of 5th graders she started working with 3 years ago, each of whom were reading on a kindergarten level and who now, in their 8th grade year, are reading on an 8th grade level. She is known for her ability to change the way her students feel about school. Students with low reading proficiency who demonstrate intensive behavioral challenges fundamentally change the type of students that they are. Ms. Castillo's instruction makes them feel safe. She establishes the kind of classroom culture that allows them to take the risks necessary to make the growth that they need to make in order to become readers. It is truly my honor to recognize Ms. Castillo today. Next, we will honor reading teachers who have demonstrated extraordinary skill in using a reading intervention called Just Words. Just Words is a multisensory spelling and reading curriculum for the study of word structure through the 6-syllable types of English and the most common Latin roots. I'm going to recognize these next two individuals together because together they have created a phenomenal program of reading intervention at their school. Erin Drewlinger and Mary Hamilton are both English language learner teachers at Barnard Elementary School. Together, they have helped establish Barnard as a Just Words demonstration site for the district, where principals and other teachers come to observe them frequently so that they can see how the program can be used with high fidelity and still have their personalities and unique teaching styles infused in their teaching. This has allowed countless teachers and administrators to make informed decisions about how to use these interventions effectively in their own schools. To further enrich their students' reading experiences, Mary and Erin have applied to and been accepted to the 2013-2014 Folger Theater Shakespeare Steps Out program, and as a result, their students will work with the Folger teaching artists this year and will perform Hamlet at the Folger Children's Shakespeare Festival next spring. It is, again, truly my honor to recognize the extraordinary work of Mary Hamilton and Erin Drewlinger. Finally, we would like to recognize the work of Mark Anthony Pedrosa. Mr. Pedrosa is a special education teacher at Thompson Elementary School, where he is a master of holding his students to incredibly high standards and fostering their independence. Mr. Pedrosa has dramatically increased all of his students' reading levels as measured by the Dibbles assessment. A few of these students may be here today, and he asked that I highlight their growth, so I'm going to do so. Marvin, who was a 4th grader last year, worked incredibly hard, and as a result, he grew 3 whole reading levels. Now he is starting the 5th grade, reading above grade level. Noel, Marvin. Noel grew 2 reading levels, and Paige grew 3 reading levels. Both scholars are now reading on grade level. Ashonda is reading with more fluency and is having tremendous success in her class this year. And finally, Mr. Pedrosa wanted to highlight the achievements of Malik and Jefferson, who have put tremendous effort into their reading classes and as a result are enjoying more exciting books than ever before. Congratulations to those students and to Mr. Pedrosa. Thank you.
In closing, thank you very much for being here. Congratulations again to some of DC's finest reading teachers. Please go, enjoy the festival, meet the authors, sign some books, or get some books signed, and go home and read them. Take care.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.